So over the last few months, I've always seen requests to make videos about Marvel's Avengers, the game. And I kind of avoided it because there was not a lot of information about it. I think I made a video way back talking about the reveal trailer and how janky I thought it looked. They looked like Marvel's Avengers, I think I said something like that. Since then, a lot of things have been revamped. The character design has been reworked. I think it's a lot more promising. I think they look way more like the standard Avengers or this game universe version of the Avengers. And I do have some stuff that I want to go over, both information that we know about this game, things that I want to see, and things that we know will happen, along with some things that I saw you guys suggest that I asked about on Twitter. So, I think the most important thing to start with is who's making this game, because this is made by Square Enix, but it's actually developed on its own by Crystal Dynamics and some other subsidiaries and companies along with them. Crystal Dynamics is best known for Tomb Raider, especially the more recent entries like Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This is a quality development studio that has a proven track record with games. Now, they don't really have a lot of games like this, like what they're making, and I think that some of the marketing has sent the wrong message, because I've seen a lot of people describe this as a live service game. There are elements of that in an online, which we'll get into, but this seems like it's also very much focused on a single player story experience or an online experience you can share with your friends. It does not have to be one or the other. It can be both. So, in terms of playable characters, we know for sure that Thor, Black Widow, Iron Man, Kamala Khan's Miss Marvel, Hulk, and maybe Captain America are playable here. I'm going to get more into Captain America's shtick later, but it involves possible spoilers, so I don't really want to talk about it here. I'll tell you when I'm going to get into any kind of story spoilers, and I will, shoo you out of here if you don't want to see anything about that later on. But this game does have an insane level of customization. There's a lot of skill trees and costumes to choose from, which I do think that it's important to mention that some costumes are earnable in-game. It actually looked like a lot of them are, but some, even from launch, are going to be online microtransactions. I know that people are probably rolling their eyes about that, and I totally get it. At the same time, this does really remind me, I hate to always bring up these games every time we talk about something, but they're such a point of comparison. With the season pass of Batman Arkham Knight, it seems like some things cosmetically are given to you. Some things, if you want them really bad, you shell out a couple of dollars. Then you get that suit. You get that Iron Man suit, or that Hulk outfit, whatever you want to call it. I'm actually fine with this, believe it or not. Even though dirty old Michael Transactions is always worming his way into our games and taking our money, the thing is, games cost more and more to make. It's not a justification for microtransactions, but companies do this to offset development costs, often to add more into the game later by making money back on it on a back end later on. And in order to future-proof a game and make money later on, in terms of, if I release a game right now at $60 and eventually the MSRP drops down to $30, I'm still making money on the back end every time somebody buys a new Iron Man suit. That's why they do this. I'm okay with this because they said it's only cosmetics, not going to affect gameplay. I'm not exactly excited for it, but it's a necessary evil I'm willing to stomach on this occasion. In terms of the costumes itself, it seems like they really went all in on picking comic book stuff. I saw, World War Hulk, that one was in here as well, along with a bunch of different Iron Man costumes. Everybody has costumes here that I think are interesting, and what I do hope is that maybe eventually we can see some kind of tie-in to the movies. So, for example, the Mark 42 suit for Iron Man, or maybe a cinematic universe version of Black Widow. I'd love to see that. I don't know if they can do that or if they would need actor license or actor likeness licenses. I guess it would depend on if they reworked the face to look like RDJ or Scarlett Johansson or Chris Evans or whoever we're talking about, but I think the suit itself is fair game. I don't think that has anything to do with actor likeness. I do have some combat concerns with this game, though. When you watch, especially the extended trailer with Thor, or at least when I did, I was talking to one of my friends about this, and it really just looks like the gameplay from God of War. The new God of War with Kratos. It's almost identical, but a little more janky. And I'm kind of noticing that a lot with some of the gameplay, is there's elements of jankiness or of not finished feelings to it. I am noticing bits of non-polish in here that kind of worry me. And I hope that this is not just a worse version of the Spider-Man combat from Marvel Spider-Man, because so far it kind of seems like that mixed with God of War. I'm not sure. It could get a lot better, and apparently the characters play differently. To me, Black Widow looked like she had a sleeker and more in-depth combat design than someone like Thor did. Thor just seemed very brutish and kind of floating. He didn't really seem to do that much. Iron Man looks really interesting in terms of his repulsor beams and his melee, but I'm not sure how they're going to handle the flying. I do like how in-depth, though, the skill trees are in terms of the combat, because you can add in different powers. Your Iron Man will fight differently than mine, depending on what moves we pick, and it's not going to end up the exact same unless we actually pick the exact same moves and skill tree elements. I think that's cool. There are really interesting, I think I mentioned this too, but there are really interesting systems here as well with base management, because you rebuild the shield helicarrier over the course of the game. It looks like you are actually building it up almost like the homestead from Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood, where it's just this rundown crappy town or rundown crappy thing, and you build it up over time and get resources from that. I think that's really cool. And I do want to add too that we talked a lot about the single player being interesting, but probably the thing that interests me the most, well, not the most, but immensely, and I didn't think it would, is the multiplayer, because multiplayer doesn't really fit in a superhero game, right? What are you going to do? Is it, Tony Stark versus Steve Rogers? It's a fighting game now? No. So what do you do with this? It looks actually interesting. You can go on co-op missions together with your friends. You can play with up to, I believe they said 4 people. And you go in with each of you picking an Avenger and fighting the AI and the computers and moving through a level together. I think that's really neat. I think that that's the kind of cooperative gameplay experience in a superhero game that a lot of us have been looking for a long time. Because they stress that you can play this yourself. You don't need to play it with another person. That's good. I'm glad to know that, because I don't really want to have to be tied to another individual in order to complete things. But at the same time, I think it's great that there is this multiplayer element. And the reason I say that is forever. One thing that people have been asking for from something like Batman was, hey, maybe you can make it so that one of us could play as Batman and one could play as Robin, and we could do that together. That would be awesome. Or, hey, maybe in Spider-Man game, maybe eventually one person can play as Miles Morales and one person as Peter Parker. Or you can just play as whoever you want to play as. I think that level of customization and team building is interesting. And I also think that it'll be really fun. So let's say I'm playing with my friend Nate. If I say, hey, I want to be Iron Man, he's like, okay, well, I want to be Thor. Now, I watch him do some move. I say, oh, how'd you do that? And he talks to me about how he got this crystal from this mission, or how he picked these items on the skill tree. I think that leads to a more in-depth conversation about the game. And also, it gives you and your friends something to talk about. I think that's a fun element that we're missing in a lot of these superhero games now, is the social component. Because shooters have that totally figured out, the social component. They've had it figured out for years. MOBAs have had it figured out for years. But superhero games never really have. They've pretty much always just been single player. So it's nice to see that option there as well. One thing I don't understand with this is they haven't marketed it as a shared universe with Marvel's Spider-Man, which makes no sense to me. I'm not going to get into spoilers at all here in any way. I'm going to be careful not to with this part. But there are possible ties between the two games. We just don't know. In the trailers, we know Taskmaster is in both, and we also know that his design is a little different in both, which could just be a suit, or it could mean it's a different universe. We don't actually know. At the same time, we see Avengers Tower in Marvel's Spider-Man, so that's something tying them here. And he makes reference to them being off at the West Coast, and at the beginning of the very first trailer of the A-Day, which we saw a year ago, they're at the West Coast opening up what looks to be the Avengers West Coast base. So I don't know if this takes place during or immediately after Spider-Man, or if its own thing. But it seems to me like it would be a no-brainer to market this as a shared universe. I mean, the MCU was so successful partially just from being a shared universe. Yes, it had great writing and great acting in a lot of the movies, But that shared universe and allowing players or characters to play off of each other really helped build that universe up and build a franchise that was worth billions of dollars that people are still paying to see even when some of the major talents have left now. It's interesting to note that because I would think that Marvel would know this. And I don't know why they wouldn't go all in on that. I don't know if it's going to be something where we get to the end and there's a reveal that, hey, this was the same world all along, like a post-credits thing or something. Well, I'm not sure. Or if they're just trying to fragment these games. But either way, you don't need a shared universe. It just seems like it would be really smart. This is where I'm going to get a little bit into spoilers just very briefly. So, definitely let me know what you think in the comments down below if you don't want to hear any spoilers for what we know about the game's story. And I will see you guys in the next one. I think I gave you enough time to get out of here. I'm buying time installing. So the story of this game seems interesting. We don't know everything exactly, but a traumatic event, which seems to involve the organization AIM, takes place at the beginning of the game and causes the Avengers to disband. Also, they straight up reference that Thor killed Captain America in one of the trailers. I don't even know why they showed that, by the way. That was a reveal where they straight up say, oh, you killed Captain America. I don't know why you'd reveal that early on. It seems weird. That's why I wanted to give you this spoiler warning, because I think Captain America's not really dead. I think that he would come back at some point, but I don't know. I mean, they didn't even show Cap really in the newest trailer, in the extended gameplay trailer. So it is very possible that he is just a limited character at the beginning who dies and is gone. It just seems like they are the Avengers without him, but without every member of the team, it's a weird decision. I mean, why is Kamala Khan here? I don't want to be that guy, but Kamala Khan, in my opinion, has never had a very interesting character representation at all, in really anything. I mean, some people think that about Miles Morales, but she is that on steroids, in terms of just not doing anything or being that interesting. I don't really know why she's here. I mean, I hope that they write her well, but it seems just really shoehorned into the game, I guess. I don't know why. I guess I don't understand why you'd go with her and not Cap or Hawkeye or another member of the Avengers that people know. Just seems like a weird decision, but whatever. Maybe she will be great. I don't know. I guess I'm not sure what to think about this story so far. It seems very Age of Ultron to me. From the villain monologuing down to what's going on and the traumatic event and the team splitting up or almost splitting up. Seems very Age of Ultron mixed with elements of Civil War to me, but I guess we'll see. You know, I'm optimistic for this game. I hope it's good. I have faith in Crystal Dynamics. I think that the janky stuff can be worked out, and I hope it is. I honestly do, because I want this game to be really good. Because I am a sucker for a lot of the stuff that they've shown, like the customization of suits, of powers, the skill tree, rebuilding the shield helicarrier, going on missions with some of my best friends. That stuff I am a sucker for. But it's this stuff in between, the meat of it, like getting the combat to be fleshed out and smooth and not janky looking, or incentivizing players to keep playing. These are the things that I'm worried about with this, that I hope I'm proven wrong on, but so far they look a little iffy. I don't really know what to expect from that. So let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. Are you excited for this game? Are you not excited for this game? What are your thoughts overall about Marvel's Avengers? And hey, do you think it is tied into Marvel's Spider-Man? Would you like it to be? What are your thoughts down there? Let me know. Like if you enjoyed the video, as always. Dislike it if you dislike it. I appreciate you. Either way, be sure to follow down in the description. We've got the new Let's Play channel, Discord, Reddit, Instagram, Patreon, Twitter. It's all down there, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day.